Okay, so Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves. So at our theater, we actually had this little blurb that began before it, calling us the heroes because we're going to see a movie in a movie theater, which felt kind of odd. But then the actual movie itself actually started going. Now, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen a lot of the creatures they're going to show. Except, of course, there's a lot more undead, and there's some other creatures all over the place. But it shows you a lot of the major ones. So you've seen the trailers, you've seen a gelatinous cube, you've seen a displacer beast, you've seen a mimic. So the plot itself very much feels like a somewhat basic D&D campaign where it's like, okay, we have to do this, but to do this we got to get this. To get this we got to go here and talk to these people. And they're like, oh, you want to know about that? You need to go here. And the overall party makeup, I liked it. Chris Pines is a bard. He worked well. He did quite a few songs in it. I did like seeing him fight with his lute. Very, very bard way of doing things. Justice Smith was a lower level sorcerer when they first show him, and then you can tell that he progresses and becomes stronger throughout the film, which is good. That's the leveling system. Michelle Rodriguez is the barbarian. It's functionally the role she is in almost every film. She's your high DPS with some tank abilities to her, who pretty much just destroys the majority of people that she's fighting against. Which that's a barbarian. I don't know the girl's name, but she was the girl in the It films who ends up being a druid. They show her transforming into an owlbear. So lots of wild shape, and I was like, okay, I like that. I like that a lot. If you want to see, now the paladin is kind of a side character, but they did a great job on him. I think his name's like Renee Jean Page or Page. Did a really fantastic job. Lots of humor in this. Is it all super family friendly? No, there's a decent use of profanity here and there. So it very much felt more kind of like your action adventure fantasy for a more modern audience sort of bit to it. I like seeing the different races. I like seeing the fact that you had halflings, seeing that was someone's type. You had half elves. You had a dwarf. You had a half tiefling. So they threw in enough to show you, like, here there's different races. They went to a couple different venues, which you could tell that they were like, we'll show it, and we'll give it the grandiose and the depth of scale in it. Because this one does well, and then you're like, oh, we need to go back to here. Because this is, what is it we're doing? Plot is it functions as a heist film. I mean, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen enough of the film to know exactly what you're getting into, which worked really well. Could there have been a lot more done in this? Yes. But for a first outing, I think they did like $150 million in this film. They did just enough to kind of go, if it does well, we've established enough to kind of show you a bunch of other things that can happen in the film. I think they name dropped just enough to make people who are familiar kind of go, I like it, that's good. But not so much people who go, I have no idea, is that guy important? Is that a place or is that a person? So I enjoyed it. I thought it was done very well. It's nice seeing, a relatively older IP again try to become a film franchise. Could they probably tone down the humor a little bit? Yeah, maybe. But you're trying to get a wide range of people to try to watch a movie based upon a very old IP. And I will say, an Easter egg that I did really enjoy was as they're doing the end arena scene, because why not have a battle in a shifting land arena? Having the callback to the 80s cartoon, I thought that was really well done. So all in all, this was an entertaining film. Easily one of the best ones I've seen in quite some time, since Puss in Boots, when it came to hitting enough of the right beats, and if it makes enough money, which is going to be rough because it's next week. You've got Mario Brothers movie, and then once May hits, there's like blockbuster after blockbuster, so it's got a couple of weeks to try to make back any of its money. But I thought it was good. Something definitely either worth watching in a theater if you're not a fan of theater, maybe something that you rent when it comes to home on digital.